Hey there everybody, welcome back to another one of my budgeting videos. The cat is circling me like a shark that has sensed blood in the water. I don't know what's going on, but you may hear some meows. I promise he's fine and very spoiled. He just doesn't like me sitting at this desk in this space ever. I don't know why. I don't know if it's haunted. I just don't know. But anyways, on to money stuff. So this is going to be my budgeting video for my November 30th paycheck. It feels weird because I know it's part of November 30th calculations because it is a paycheck from the 30th of November, but really all the payments that I'm going to be making from this paycheck are really going towards December things because my billing cycles have closed for almost everything. I think not technically my visa yet because it doesn't show like a new due date or a new minimum monthly balance due. I don't normally carry a balance on the visa anymore, but they've been doing a ton of technical, maintenance work, and so everything is wonky. I'm with Scotiabank, so if any of you are with Scotiabank in Canada, maybe you're experiencing this as well. My credit card kind of disappears from the app for days at a time, and then it comes back with the wrong charges on it. It's still missing a refund. I don't know what's going on with it, so I just sort of do my best to keep track. I did use it when I was away in Edmonton because I knew that I had the money in my travel fund to pay off my charges to the card. So I was using it that way because then I get points. And it's a good card to get points on because they go towards travel. And it was just for me, I found when I travel, I really prefer paying with a credit card and then paying it off at the end. That way it's much easier for me to sort of go through everything and figure out exactly what I spent and where did I go crazy. So I don't know, that's just how I roll. Anyways, I'm going to be doing the budget for the November 30th paycheck. It is weird and unpleasant even for me, and I'm the one that made it, but I will try to explain as I go through. On a funny-ish note, if you could call it that, I'm just going to move back because it'll ruin my writing. I completely forgot when I was calculating this out the first time, my car payment. So I got to the end of it and thought like, oh yeah, I'm doing okay. I've got X amount left over, and then was double checking something and just all of a sudden was like, oh my God, it's not in there. So I had to readjust a lot of things to be able to make my car payment. And yeah, I will explain it as I go along, but I'm going to keep everything in the order that it was. So like what I had originally written out, and then me realizing the car payment was missing and adding it in at the bottom. And then I'll explain as I go through what I had to adjust to be able to make that payment. So I just need to make sure. I can't tell when I'm sitting down if things are centered or not. So let's get started. November 30th. Paycheck. Now this paycheck was noticeably smaller than normal because I was away for 4 days in Edmonton visiting family, and that time off request was approved before I was a permanent employee. So where I work, basically almost everybody starts off either as like a casual or a temporary person on contract, and then if it works out and you like when a permanent spot becomes available, you apply and you get it, then you become permanent. So when you're casual or temporary, you don't have paid vacation leave, paid stats, things like that. You get a percentage paid out on your paycheck. And if you go back to old budgeting videos, you'll see where I would pull that money out and put it aside into a savings account because I was hoarding it so that when there was a statutory holiday and I just had a random day off without pay, or when I wanted to take time off, I had money sitting aside to use for those things because they paid out as a percentage. You kind of need it. I don't mind in a way. Sometimes they do that because then it's sort of up to me for how I'm going to use the money. But at the same time, now that I am once again spoiled with having paid stats, I love stats now. I hated them for a while because I'm like, it's just a day off without pay. I'd rather work it. But now it's like, yay, I sleep in and I'm still getting a paycheck. However, like I said, the time off that I had booked in November, because I can't go home in December for Christmas because I couldn't get time off, was unpaid leave. And it's 4 days out of my paycheck. And that is a lot of money out of one paycheck. So my paycheck was noticeably smaller. And so I've had to make a lot of adjustments within this particular budget to make things work because there are the priority things that have to be taken care of. And then there's everything else that you can just kind of fudge. So my starting balance is $1,602.04. The very first thing that I'm taking out that I wrote so messily, I can't even read the number. I think that's $135.65. Let me just check before I commit anything to page. No. Oh boy. Calculators don't like me. $1,602.04. I think it's that. Nope. Seriously, why don't I write legibly when I'm writing my rough draft? Like, what's wrong with me? It's so messy. Oh, how much money does Striker have? Okay, let's just do this the old-fashioned way. So Striker, has $116.23, plus he would have been given $32.50, and then there was a payment of, oh, it was like $10.05. Yes, it was. Look at that. Math saved my butt. Okay, so after all of that, apologies. So $138.68 is Striker's money. If you are new, Striker is my cat, and I put money aside for him every paycheck to go towards his personal expenses. So his food, his litter, I don't know. His expenses are mostly food and litter, to be honest. I mean, if I'm buying him a new toy just because like he's torn apart one of his toys or something, yes. But if I'm buying him a new toy because it's a Christmas present, no. Because that would be wrong for him to be buying his own Christmas present. And I am aware that doesn't make a lot of sense. So just go with it. So after I take out his monies, there's $1,463.36 left. And then I take out half of my rent. Leaving me with $813.36. Now, normally this would be where I would write in the car payment, but I completely forgot it. So we moved on to other things. $37.60 for my Neo card. So we're finally starting to see a noticeable reduction in how much of a balance I have on a Neo card every payday when I'm doing my budget after I took care of canceling those subscriptions, which is great. Like, this is what I was hoping to see, was a consistently lower number happening. I want to get it even lower. I have a membership for the local YMCA for the gym that I haven't really been able to use because of my concussion, and also I'm lazy. So I realized, like, I kept it because I've always had a gym membership somewhere, and it feels like failure to cancel for some reason, because then it's really me saying I'm so lazy, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to go. But I realized, like, I'm not going. It's like $17 and change bi-weekly that gets charged onto my Neo card, which adds up. And also I got a notification that they're upping it, which fair, everything is going up, but I can't even really afford to be paying what I'm paying now and not go. And now they want to up it. And then combined with that, the house that I rent the basement suite in is up for sale. And when it eventually sells, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to be in this same area. So what is the point of having a YMCA pass to one specific YMCA because I live in the neighborhood if I no longer live in the neighborhood? So I'm trying to be proactive and cancel it. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how to cancel it. You can't cancel it from the YMCA website. You can't cancel it from the app that you use to like go in and book classes and things like that. And I remember from when I had to update my payment information, there was like a whole third website that you had to go to be able to change any of that. So I'm assuming that's where you go when you want to cancel it, but I can't figure it out. Like, I can't find it. And I remember before it being so incredibly hard to find. Like, there isn't a link to it on the YMCA website. There isn't a way to link to it from the app. It's ridiculous how hard it is to change your payment method with them or to go in and cancel. I don't know. So I emailed them and I'm like, hey, I need to cancel my membership. I can't figure out how to do it. How do I do it? And 2 days later, got an auto response saying it'll be 3 to 5 business days before somebody gets back to me, and to not email them again. So great. I do know that if I don't cancel it within X amount of time before the next time they're going to bill it, they're going to bill me regardless, even though I've tried to cancel it, because they want like a full 7 days notice beforehand, I think it is. I don't know. So I'm thinking I might go into the actual location tomorrow, but some of what I've found online is saying you can't cancel it in person, even though I signed up for it in person. You have to cancel it using a form that you fill out and then email in. But I don't know if that's specific to the location on the island, because that seemed to be specific to the island. I really don't know. I just want out of this thing and I can't figure out how to cancel it. So I'm trying to lower this even more. I just honestly, like, I've been trying for 3 days to figure out how to cancel this. And even something like, I can't even Google cancel YMCA membership because it comes up with like information for different locations, but not for my location. All I wanted was like a link for where do I go to sign in to cancel this thing. It is ridiculous because I am sure there are people who try and then just give up and are like, you know what, I'm just stuck in this for life. But that is not me. I will figure this out. Just not today. Okay, so taking off the $37.60 for the NEO bill is leaving me with a balance of $775.76. Now, my line of credit, my minimum line of credit has changed because we're in the new billing cycle, and it is $397.08, which has me ridiculously excited because it starts with a 3 and not with a 4. And I had originally in my calculations put in for paying $397.08, and it worked. I was able to. However, once I realized I forgot the car payment, I could no longer. So I've cut it in half and I am paying $198.54 to my line of credit. Let me explain. Because my goal is to always try to pay double the minimum payment per month off of my line of credit, but I am aware that going forward, I'm really probably not going to be able to do that. I was only able to do that because I had some buffer of money from a payout from the car insurance people from a car accident I was in, as well as some money from my mom. That buffer is now gone, so everything is having to come from my paycheck. So the reason I picked paying half of what my minimum monthly payment is for this particular paycheck is because even though this paycheck is coming on the 30th of November, everything is going towards December payments because of the end of the billing cycle and dates and everything. So this payment is going towards my December line of credit payments towards the debt. And that means I will have 3 payments because the due date for my line of credit payment of $397.08 is December the 24th. And I've got over here, I have a calendar here. So this is my line of credit tracker payment thing for December. So I have like the payment from November that's up here that doesn't show on this calendar. And then I have a payday on the 13th and a payday on the 27th. So I'm going to have this paycheck as well as the November 30th one to make a payment before the due date of the 24th. So I will make sure that I will make a high enough payment on the 13th. It's not going to be double like I like it to be, but it will be in total combined with the payment that I make today. It will be higher than the minimum monthly payment. So for December, it will still be over the minimum monthly payment in total combined with the 2. It's just kind of the way that I'm going to have to work it now and probably going forward because I am working without the buffer. But the use of the buffer and the large payments I was making up until now have now gotten the line of credit payment down to an amount that hopefully I will be able to do things like that and still make not just the minimum monthly payment over the, like spreading it out over 2 paychecks, but additional on top of that. It just won't be in as large quantities of what I've been doing so far, but the minimum monthly payment is now low enough that I can divide and conquer and still accomplish the goal of paying off the debt. So if that doesn't make sense with how I'm explaining it, totally fine, because I'm not always great at explaining things, but you'll see it as we go through the next year. So I did 198.54, which brings me to a new balance of $577.22. My sinking funds are getting $156. Leaving me with $421.22. My cash is very different than normal, $92.50 for my digital cash envelopes. I'll explain that in a little bit. $328.72. And so somewhere around here, originally when I did the math, I was at a balance of $130.21. I'm not gonna lie, I was patting myself on the back. Look at me, look how great I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I remember the car payment. The car payment is $266.72, which was much more than what I had remaining in the balance. So that's why I had to fix the line of credit. So now we're taking out $266.72 for the SUV payment. And that is leaving me with $62 in the bank. So that is my budget for this particular paycheck. I'm going to show you how I do the breakdown of the sinking funds, and especially of the digital cash envelopes, because they're much different than normal, because that is a much smaller amount than normal. But that was also done because I knew I was working with less money, because my paycheck was smaller than normal. And so I had to make adjustments to things. So let's start with the sinking funds. I'm gonna do it over here. So the sinking funds have SUV insurance. It gets $67. Tenant insurance gets $14. Tech gets $15. Tech is one account that I put the money in for my WordPress account, my Norton antivirus, and my Microsoft 365. Dragon Boat is $0. Travel, I've lowered down to $20. I know some people might be saying I should be putting $0 in there, and I might get to there. Usually I put $40. I have a road trip to Edmonton to visit family at the very end of May. And then another trip to see my family in November. We have to book our vacation for the next year, like in October, November, December-ish of the current year. So we're in the process at my work of doing vacation planning right now. So they will be paid vacation days though. I want to clarify that, because I get paid for these things now. So the actual days off I'll get paid. I'll just need money to spend for when I'm there. I chose to do a road trip to go and see my family because it's a relatively inexpensive vacation for me. I wasn't going to go anywhere. I thought I might just try to find an Airbnb nearby and like take the cat and have a week of just like relaxing and working on the story I'm writing, because like I pretend to be a writer, but I'm not, because I don't get paid for it, but I really like to write. And I just thought to kind of hunker down and really focus on it. And so my mom was like, oh, well, I'm going away. Her, not me, I mean. And so why don't I go and stay at her place? I can like house sit for her, and then have like some nice quiet environment, but it's not actually costing me anything, which I thought was brilliant. But I couldn't get time off from work at the time frame that she's gone, because I'm pretty low in seniority, and it's all based on seniority for who gets approved. So all the really good dates were gone, like December, June, July, August, like they're all just completely booked up. So I was able to get some time at the end of May, and then some time in November. So that, and then I'm asking for like some kind of like sporadic days off to create 3-day weekends in months where I don't get 3-day weekends, because I didn't know what to do with the leftover time. But we're contractually obligated by our union to book off a certain percentage of our vacation hours during this process, and I was like, I don't know where to use it, so I just kind of had to pick some random days. So I am going to be going away, but it's really just going to need like minimal money for like expenses when I'm there. So I do want to try to keep contributing to my travel fund, even if it's a smaller amount, so that when I get closer to the date, I'm not scrambling for how am I going to afford to go out for dinner with friends, or I don't know, like the gas for the road trip. I drive a hybrid, so it's not actually that much gas, but still, like the food on the road trip. Do you know what I mean? Like there will be expenses. So I do want to try to keep putting money in there. I'm just going to be putting less for the time being. And like I said, if I had to drop it down to $0 for a while, I will deal with that. So presents, 20. My present sinking fund is so depleted, and I'm not done Christmas shopping yet. Happens, I think, every year. No, that's not true. I say that, but there have been years where I've had money saved up and I spent only the money that I had saved up and was very surprised at how well that worked. So this year is just, I didn't have enough saved. And I'm putting $20 into my emergency fund. So $67 plus 14 plus 15 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, really should have just done 60 there, is $156, which matches right there the sinking funds. And my cash envelopes. So Striker gets $32.50. Groceries, 0. I will explain, don't worry. Miscellaneous is getting 30. Fun, originally I gave 0 because I thought I had money in the fun category, but then I did a quick update on my digital cash envelopes just to make sure and realized I did not. So 30 into fun. Physio is getting 0. I will explain that as well. And transpo is also getting 0. This is very unusual. Do not expect to see this again from me. So $32.50 plus 30 plus 30 is $92.50, which is where that came from. So let me explain. Striker always gets $32.50. I actually contemplated not giving him the money this time only because he has quite a bit in his account. He doesn't have a lot of expenses, so that is just his digital money. He also has actual physical cash money in an envelope. He really doesn't need another contribution right now. But I want to put money in there if I'm able to, because he should never suffer. And I mean, even though there's nothing that he needs right now, I've already bought his Christmas present from the gift fund and he's got plenty of food and everything. Do you know what I mean? But it's his money. I made a commitment to putting it aside for him so that whenever he does need something, I'm never struggling to be able to afford to get him litter or something. And I just want to keep funding his envelope as best as I can. Groceries, I'm putting 0. That is because I currently have $84.80 still in my grocery cash envelope, my digital cash envelope, and I got gifted for my birthday, which my birthday is not until December the 23rd, but when I was home in November with my family, we were celebrating birthdays and we all swapped birthday presents, and so I got given a $100 Visa gift card that I could use anywhere, and I've decided to put it towards my grocery fund. So I will just need to really remember to take that with me, and I'm going to be using that when I go grocery shopping until it is gone. So until it's gone, that in combination with the $84.80 that's already sitting or is still sitting in my grocery cash envelope, I'm not contributing money. I would have, so that I could sort of build it up while using the gift card, but because of how tight things were going to be here, I decided not to. Miscellaneous got 30. What was that? It was at a current balance of $4.31. I really wanted to get it back up because there's always really random things to be buying. My fun category was actually in the negative by $9.58. And I do have something coming up on Thursday, I think it is, and something coming up on Saturday because it is the season of activities with friends. So my miscellaneous and fun category, I'm going to kind of end up combining to be able to cover expenses. Now, one of those is a movie on Thursday. My ticket is already purchased. I use my points, so I didn't have to actually pay cash for my ticket. And as long as I don't feel like buying a drink, then I won't actually have any expenses for that night. I, however, usually do buy a drink. So there might be the charge of a movie drink, which is we all know is exorbitant, but what can you do? But that should be the only expense there. And then on the Saturday, my friend and I are going to this painting workshop where we're going to be painting these like old school looking ceramic Christmas trees. I think they're going to be about like this big. They look so pretty. And it's not very expensive. I think it was like $7.50 or something. And I don't know. It's just for fun. We're going to have a good time and I'm looking forward to it. But like it is already prepaid as well, but I don't know if there's going to be any other like charges or something that kind of pop up at this thing, or if we're going to decide when it's done, if we want to go and get like I don't know, a hot cocoa or something to like continue with the Christmas spirit. I'm not sure. So I just need to make sure I have some money for those things. physio is not done. It's not like zero because I'm just magically healed and I'm better. It's just that my physio cash envelope is currently fully funded because it's $31.50 is what I need for it to be fully funded, because each appointment is, how much is that? $15.75. So I fully funded it last time, like my last paycheck, and then I was going away and I haven't had an appointment with her, so I didn't actually pull from it. So I have 2 weeks worth of payments due, or not payments due, that doesn't make sense. I have 2 weeks worth sitting in my physio digital cash envelope of money. I have an appointment with her this coming week. I didn't have one last week. It was just a scheduling thing. I couldn't get one. So I'm kind of like ahead with her. So I decided to not put more money in because I have enough to get me through until next payday. So great. And then transportation, I have $146.21 sitting in that account. I only use the money in transportation if I have to pay for parking somewhere or for gas or for car washes. We have now entered the rainy season where I live, so I don't really do car washes in winter because the car's just going to get wet and what's the point? I do have to put gas in it, but it's a hybrid. So once I put gas, it lasts a really long time. I'm waiting until the weekend ends and hoping the gas prices go down a little bit before I get gas. I'm at about a quarter of a tank. So it will be a little bit expensive when I fill it, but then it's going to last me forever. So I sigh like that's a bad thing. Super happy about that. But so I have enough sitting in there to cover any expenses that would be coming from that fund for longer than the next 2 weeks. So I decided to not put money in it, again because I knew I was working with a smaller paycheck and I was going to have to make cuts. So that is why that is so much lower than normal, and it went very much towards helping with all of this. Now the only thing that's missing from here is a payment onto my Visa card, and that is because my Visa card is confusing me like nobody's business. I know I keep mentioning it. They're doing a bunch of maintenance work. It's not accurate. The numbers that it shows, like for how much I owe, it's not tracking. And so right now it's showing quite a large amount, and it doesn't really make sense. And so I need to talk to them. So I decided to just not include it in here because I honestly have no idea what the actual amount owed is. It just, I don't know. I just don't know. I scroll through it because I know that I made the payments to cover all the charges from when I was away in Edmonton. And I did have an expense on there, a medical one, for like this thing on my face. I've talked about it, not in this video. I had to have a surgical procedure on my face to remove a suspicious like thing. It's like in day 2 of healing. It's being really annoying more than anything. It doesn't hurt, which pleases me to no end, but it's very awkward, this bandage on my face. But it was like this weird thing where when it was done, because it was considered in the end to be non-cancerous, which I'm very, very happy about. So do not take this as me complaining that I wanted cancer or something ridiculous, but because it's non-cancerous, I had to pay for the surgery, or the surgical procedure, I guess we should call it, to remove it, versus if it had been cancerous or had to be at least sent off for like a biopsy to really confirm, because he really wasn't sure, then it would have been covered. I don't know, medical stuff. So, I mean, I get it. I think cosmetic procedures, which is what this got deemed once it was figured out it was non-cancerous, should come out of the person's pocket and not be paid for through the medical system. And I would much rather be having to pay to have had this thing taken off my face, because it means that it's 100% not cancer, than not have it be not have me pay for it and have the system pay for it, and now me be wondering when the results are coming in and oh my god, what's going on with my face. So yay that I have a bill, because it means no cancer. I know it's a weird system, just go with it. Oh, and the other thing that's missing from here is my cell phone, which you may or may not have noticed. I pay $60 every paycheck onto my cell phone, and that actually gets me ahead of the game, because I was always confused about exactly how much it was owing and when it was due, because like I don't know, but the billing cycle for Virgin, which is my cell phone company, was a bit weird for me to figure out. So I just decided every paycheck, $60. It means I'm overpaying a little bit every month, but I was like, whatever, it'll get me a little ahead of the game. Totally fine. I'm currently sitting with a credit on my cell phone account of $191.56, which is amazing. So I did not put a $60 payment onto my cell phone bill this time. again, because it all goes back to the fact that I knew I was working with a smaller paycheck and I had to be really careful about where the money was going. I double checked on my cell phone app to make sure that I did have a credit, and I do have a credit. The bill from my cell phone is due on the 15th of December. And so that is, I do technically have another paycheck before that on the 13th, but if I do the budget on the 13th and make a payment on the 13th, it won't process through by the 15th when the bill is due, but it's okay because I have that credit. So next paycheck, I will put the payment of $60 on, and my credit will be like used to pay my bill, the $191.56 credit that I have sitting on there. It won't all be used. My bill isn't that high. And then it'll all work out. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. Honestly, when I realized like this credit was going to be building and building and building, I was like, one day there's going to be a paycheck. I cannot make a cell phone payment. I'm going to be so hard done by money wise. I'm not going to be able to do it. And I'm going to have this credit sitting there to help me. And this is helping me. So I'm really happy that that little plan of mine has worked out. So this is my budget. I have to talk to the Visa people. I have pulled out, it'll take 3 days to process, but I have pulled out from my long-term savings money that I am intending to put onto the Visa. I decided to use my emergency/long-term savings to pay for the procedure on my face because I didn't want to have to take multiple paychecks to pay it off and then risk it rolling over to the new billing period and having interest charges on that. So I just decided, I mean, it's not really an emergency, but it's kind of an emergency because it's a large expense that came out of nowhere. I feel like an emergency is like my car broke down and I had to spend thousands to get the brakes fixed or something. So this feels weird to be using the emergency money for, but at the same time, it's kind of an emergency, I guess. I don't know. Would you classify it as an emergency, or would you just be taking multiple paychecks to pay it off of your Visa? I don't know. To me, it counts as something to pull from the emergency fund, but everybody is different. So I'd really love to know what you think. If you had something similar, which way would you go? Because maybe I'm wrong. By the time I get any feedback on this, it will be done, but I am curious. So I will be using the money that I've transferred over to pay onto the Visa. I'll be having to contact Visa to just be like, what in the world is going on? You need to get this sorted and give me like a real amount. And hopefully by the next paycheck, I will actually have the Visa figured out, because it has been confusing me for like 3 weeks? Has it been a month already? It's been a long time that they've been doing repairs or technical or whatever it is that they're doing. And my patience is running thin. Although I'm sure that they are dealing with people who are much more angry than I am, and I feel bad for their customer service people because I'm sure they're getting yelled at. But that is a problem for another day. I will be calling them somewhere next week. So for now, though, here is my budget, a much smaller amount than normal, no buffer, and this is how I made it work without the buffer. I know that this isn't something I can do continuously going forward. This is not a long-term solution, just not paying my cell phone and using long-term savings to pay for something, although I won't have another cost for this procedure coming up, so like that's okay. But I know like I can't always just yank out money from the cash envelopes and just not be putting things towards that. So this is not my long-term plan for dealing with the fact that the buffer is gone. This is my very particular to this paycheck plan for how to handle the fact that I am missing 4 days of pay off of this one paycheck, but I still need to be able to pay my bills and fund my sinking funds, because these are some of them, essentially just long-term bill payments. I hope this all makes sense to you. Thank you so very much for sticking with me through this budgeting video. I very much appreciate it. If you have any tips or suggestions or ideas, or if you notice something I've done wrong with the math, please speak up in the comments, because sometimes I come back to these and I realize I pushed a button wrong on the calculator, and like from a certain point down my calculations are wrong, and it's just a very deep sigh inducing type of a thing, I hope all of you are having a really great day. You're gearing up for a holiday season to celebrate whatever it is that you celebrate. I don't know. I'm in a pretty good mood. I know that this was like a tight paycheck, but I actually made it work, and I'm sort of proud of myself for that. Maybe it's a dumb thing to be proud of. Maybe it should be more like be proud that you don't get yourself in these situations, but I got in it and I managed to get out of it. So that's not horrible, right? That's just how I have to look at it. So again, thank you so much for sitting with me through my budgeting videos and following me on this journey. I do very much appreciate it. Ooh, if you have any ideas on how to cancel a YMCA membership in BC specifically, please drop that in the comments below, because I gotta figure that out and I'm really struggling. I will talk to you all in the next video. Stay safe out there and warm, because we are now getting colder. Bye.